Hey y'all, Uncle Jimmy here. When you speak for yourself, you're forced to think for yourself. And when you think for yourself, the sports world looks different. In order to enjoy this podcast and this show, you need to have the courage to look at the world from alternative points of view and not be offended when you disagree. Speak for yourself isn't your Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram feed. SFY tells you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. So, welcome aboard, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
We start today in Green Bay. Here's what we learned last night in Green Bay.
What?
Not much has changed. The Packers still go as far as Aaron Rodgers can carry them. That's the story of last night's Thursday Night Football showdown, pitting the Eagles versus the Packers. Philly won 34-27 because after Green Bay wide receiver Davante Adams went down with turf toe, Aaron Rodgers had no other help. The allegedly improved Green Bay defense made no big plays, and the Packers' new head coach, Matt Baby McVay LaFleur, couldn't draw up any running plays that worked. In a one-possession game, Rodgers threw the ball 53 times, scrambled 5 times, and handed it to a runner just 15 times.
Lord.
He was Elton John on stage alone with a piano performing Rocket Man, Tiny Dancer, and I'm Still Standing. If, as some believe, the Packers brass are slowly phasing out the 35-year-old quarterback with the highest passer rating in NFL history, I wish them Godspeed and good luck. Sonny Bono tried the same strategy with Cher. Ike Turner tried it with Tina. NSYNC thought they'd be all right without Justin Timberlake. Kyrie Irving phased out LeBron. I used to be as dumb and arrogant as the Green Bay Packers. Decades ago, I found my Aaron Rodgers, but I let my best friend from college, Frank Barnes, talk me into believing I had a better option. I'm not joking. We're sitting on a golf course, and my Aaron Rodgers walked up in high heels, a sundress, looking divine.
Aye.
But she's wearing heels on a golf course. She slipped and crashed to the ground right in front of our golf cart. Frank wouldn't let it go. He trashed her and me all day, said I was a fool if I chose her over another girl I had been dating off and on who was far more bootyful. Dumbest decision of my life. Kids, Belle Biv DeVoe wasn't wrong. Never trust a big butt and a smile. It's poison. My point is, when you have Aaron Rodgers, you don't even consider other options. You phase out Joe Flacco, Tony Romo, Eli Manning, Matt Ryan, hell, Cam Newton. You ride Aaron Rodgers until the wheels fall off. You damn sure don't fool yourself into believing that an inexperienced head coach, Matt LaFleur, can do more for your franchise than Aaron Rodgers. All right, joining the desk now, Fox Sports NFL analyst TJ Houshmandzadeh, Hall of Fame running back and GOAT candidate Eric Dickerson. Marcellus,
yes.
I'll start with you. Did last night prove the Packers are still totally reliant on Aaron Rodgers?
It did, and I am so torn on this one because I can't lie. I wish I lived in a parallel universe where Aaron Rodgers didn't make those comments earlier in the week, and he still goes out there and throws it 53 times, including we saw, obviously, in the fourth quarter, 4 times on the 1-yard line. I wish I lived in a world where those comments mentally didn't connect to what I saw out there because let's give Matt LaFleur some credit. Let's give Coach something. He knows that Aaron Rodgers, when he has to throw the ball that much, is not a successful winning quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, 10 times in his career, has thrown over 48 pass attempts. His record is 2-8. Guess what? You know that's not a formula for success. Even the great Aaron Rodgers will go out there and air it out. But what are you to do? We've all been there before. All the weapons decimated. You lose Adams, you lose Williams. Now you start to look at 4 undrafted receivers become your starters and a 5th rounder. Hey. And then he's like, well, you know what's for dinner, y'all? Spam. Nobody want to eat it, but damn it, I ain't going to bed hungry. I'm going out there and riding Aaron Rodgers till the wheels fall off. The wheels fell off. And usually in this situation, Aaron Rodgers doesn't succeed. Once again, he failed. So they went with Aaron, and they died with Aaron.
I'm with you. They're going to have to be totally relying on Aaron Rodgers. And last night was an exact – when Davante Adams went out, it was like, what is he going to do? Early in that first ball he threw the go route to Davante, man, it just dropped out the sky. You didn't have to decelerate. You didn't have – I mean, it was a perfectly thrown ball. And it was – last night was a microcosm of they went into the game saying, I don't think we can run the ball. They didn't try to run the ball.
They did, third quarter, early.
It was a one-possession game the entire game. And so you think we get the ball first and goal on the 1 yard line. If you can't run the ball 4 times and get 1 yard, you don't deserve to win.
Say it.
And they didn't try. That's okay when you have Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going to give them this out, though. I think they ran a RPO in one of these plays. Aaron was going to run it in himself.
I think that was second down.
And they defended it well, and he just threw the ball away. But
I don't know. We just saw in a primetime game, Cleveland, same situation, 4 pass attempts. Freddie Kitchens said, I should have ran it once. And you think Matt LaFleur didn't see that and say, yeah, I think I should run it once when I get in that situation. Instead, he passed.
But you know what Matt LaFleur's thinking?
What?
I got Aaron Rodgers under center. He got Baker Mayfield under center. So
great point.
Could be.
Well, in Cleveland, they ran 4th and 9. They ran a draw. So that ain't saying much either.
They thought they had you back there.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
You know, I wish I could say different from you guys, but, man, I mean, for sure, this is the Aaron Rodgers show. And, you know, I feel bad for Aaron because – you know, when you lose a quarterback, you're the star player, all the blame goes on you. You know, why didn't he see the guy in the back of the end zone? You know, why didn't he see the coverage? Why didn't he do this? I mean, and you said it best, TJ. If you don't, you got to have a running game. You might want to try to get rid of the running back. People want to say the running back is obsolete. The running back is very important in every game. Look at the Eagles. You know, with Jordan Howard. They ran the football. You know, they saw something in the Packers like this great defense. We can run the football on them. And with Aaron Rodgers, that's all they got to depend. They used to have what's Obama receiver name? Greg Jennings, his name. Just kidding, Greg. Just kidding, Greg. They needed Greg Jennings last night.
They needed something, and I look at this team, and I say this isn't a playoff team, despite this 3-0 start. Now 3-1. This is a 500 football team, if not 7-9. I think Aaron Rodgers out because, and ED, you know this, turf toe is what Devontae had. That's all season long. He won't be as effective.
Let me tell you something about turf toe.
There it is.
The year in 1984, and I would say this to Devontae Adams, if you could get in touch with me, however, through Fox or whatever, I thought I couldn't play. I really thought my season's over with. They developed a thing that called a toe piece. I still have it. In my home. That's the only way I could run. I ran for 2,000 yards in that thing, and I'm like, my toe hurts so. I'm like, oh my, I can't put a shoe on this foot. They had to drain it, injected it. I wore this toe piece, had to wrap it around, cut my shoe open to get some pressure off of it. But that is the only way. I played my whole career with it, with a toe piece. So Devontae, if you can get that, I can get you that toe piece. That will help you play football.
Look, that was a great story. I ain't gonna lie though. Devontae, where you at? He dropped a pin about 10 minutes ago before the show started and looked at that floor like it was the abyss of earth. You were like, I'm not going down there. So I don't know what this is.
I need another pin.
It ain't going to end well for you, Devontae, if you listen to this man.
When you're 59 years old.
Can they do anything? Can they make the playoffs? Can they keep pace with the Detroit Lions or whoever the best team is in the NFC North?
No. We saw last night that this offense, look, we understand the injuries, but that's a part of the game, so I just can't keep going down that lane. Let's talk about how they're second most 3-and-outs in the league before last night's offensive performance. Let's talk about the fact that they're third worst in third down in the NFL before we saw the performance last night, which was tilted heavily towards Aaron Rodgers, and that's not a recipe for success. That is not sustainable. That is not reliable what we saw out of this offense. And now the defense looked porous. So we walked in this game saying the defense we can count on, put them in the vault, and let's go see if we can get a little more out of Aaron Rodgers. We realized that if this team is going to be hobbled, even if this team is at full throttle, it doesn't seem like it's calculated for this team to have dual success.
I can't bury them right now. You can't just look at the first 3 games and say it was fool's gold. They beat a good Minnesota team, or who we perceive to be a good Minnesota. They lost 1 game. The Eagles schemed them in the run game. They had some holes that were so wide open, it was like, I felt like I could have run through those things. They lost the game. Go back, regroup. Are they as good as they were the first 3 games defensively? Probably not, but it's not as bad as it was. And Philadelphia was a Super Bowl favorite to a lot of teams coming out the NFC. You lose that game, it's really not that big of a deal. Go fix the mistakes you made and let's regroup.
I thought Philadelphia's a better football team either way. Philadelphia could have easily been 2-1 or 3-0. But when you look at it, when your quarterback, I mean, I know it's early, but your quarterback is your leading rusher in a big game like this. He's throwing for 400 yards. He's running for 46 yards. You've got to find a way to run the football. The Packers haven't had a running game in 3 years. They really haven't. So you've got to find a way to get some kind of running game going.
Well, my concern is their offensive line, because even with Aaron Rodgers throwing for more than 400 yards, he did a lot of that moving in the pocket, avoiding a pass rush constantly. And again, it was a really impressive performance to me from Aaron Rodgers. The whole burden was on him, didn't have pass protection, a bunch of inexperienced wide receivers, not that talented out there, and he made things happen. And I thought when they went down at the end of the first half, I was like, wow, this is going to be one of those nights. And they come out again, though, what they've struggled with all season, second half adjustments, and just 7 points in the second half. I think they're now averaging 5 points in the second half through four games. I question whether Matt LaFleur is built for this situation, because he came in thinking his offense and we're going to take some responsibility off of Aaron Rodgers' shoulder, and that's all blown up in the air now. Aaron Rodgers got to put his Superman cape on.
And that's the problem. This is why I don't think there is a formula for success for this team. First few games, less A-Rod, greater results. They win those games. The defense, second best in scoring defense behind the Patriots. Amazing. We tilt the formula. We tilt it towards more A-Rod, the criticism, the comments, or just the injuries. Now, where's the defense? So sometimes you can get into a psychological looky-loo. It happens a lot in basketball when they say Kobe shows up or some great player. Everybody all of a sudden, I'm watching. This defense all of a sudden got compromised in ways that I don't know if it was just by assignment, by alignment, or by philosophy. It seems like once you tilt this too heavily towards Aaron Rodgers, the defense didn't respond. If they would have just been average, status quo defense that they were the first 3 games, they win this game easily.
They got gashed, though, up front, man.
Something happened differently.
They're good on the back end.
Yes.
They're good on the back end. They got gashed. Blake Martinez, I don't want to call him out, but he made some mental mistakes, mental errors where he's supposed to cover the back out the backfield. He's not covering him. He catch the ball, goes in for a touch. That's a mental mistake. That's an error. You're in man defense. You shouldn't get caught up in the mesh when you know they're running a pick route, because Philly runs that a lot. So those things can be corrected. They got gashed up front. Defense, we got good secondary guys. We got to try to stop the run for it. Dude, Carson Wentz threw for 160 yards. They got gashed.
And listen to that. Now here's the equation. Aaron throws for 422, and the opponent throws for 160, and we lose?
Because they're running the ball. They're shortening the game.
All I'm saying is that's going to be tough to digest as a team. Our quarterback played that well. Theirs played – he threw touchdowns, but
look at
it's going to be tough.
I think about Matt LaFleur. Now you got Aaron Rodgers. Why can't Aaron Rodgers call his own plays? Why does he have to depend on Matt LaFleur to call his plays?
Because he's the coach.
But no. Peyton Manning called his plays. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has played long enough. You got a rookie head coach. Let me call my plays. You do the defense. You do everything else. Let me do this. You concentrate on that. And when I watch it, I'm like, why come he has to wait on these plays to come in? Let him run the offense. Even I think when they were down on the goal line, first and goal, 1 on the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
I think as a quarterback, I think even Aaron Rodgers would have said, let's run this ball at least one time.
I'm a receiver, and
let's run it one time. Let's run it one time.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Jason Whitlock from Speak for Yourself. Are you ready for what's ahead? You can't always predict the future, but you can game plan for it. Generations of families and businesses have harnessed the power of Pacific to help them reach their unique goals. Whether you need to save enough money to meet your needs, ensure your family is protected, or make sure you don't run out of money, Pacific Life has a variety of financial solutions that can help. Pacific Life counts more than half of the 100 largest U.S. companies as its clients and has been named one of the 2019 world's most ethical companies by the Ethisphere Institute. Protecting what matters most to people for 150 years and counting? That's the power of Pacific. Ask a financial professional about how Pacific Life can help you game plan for the future, or visit pacificlife.com.
We're joined now by former Eagles cornerback Brandon Boykin. All right, time for a big story. Let's return to Lambeau Field, where the Eagles picked off Aaron Rodgers at the goal line to seal a huge win over the Packers last night. Philly ran roughshod over Green Bay, putting up 176 yards on the ground. And while their defense struggled, they were able to pull off 2 fourth-quarter goal line stands when it mattered most. Philly now moves to 2-2 on the year, inching them a bit closer to the red-hot Cowboys in the NFC East. Having said all of that, having watched all of that, I don't think they're a real threat to the Cowboys.
Really?
I think their offensive line got fired up last night based off of what they got caught on tape, not doing that effort they gave the week before, and just totally dominated Green Bay. I think this Cowboys team is clearly the best team in the NFC. I just don't think the Eagles are on their same level, particularly with all the problems they have in their secondary.
I disagree there. I think, look, the Cowboys are a better team, but certainly the Eagles are in their hemisphere. Like, they're in their proximity. I respect what they've done. Football wins and losses. We know those are objective results. But it's a relative experience to get those same results. And let's talk about who the Cowboys have played, because Dak Prescott hasn't gotten his money yet. And we are all thinking that it's because he's waiting on that $40 million paycheck. But maybe Jerry and Steven are like, Dak, the 3 teams we beat so far, what are their defensive rankings? 32.
Trash can?
31 and 26.
Big trash.
That's not good enough. So maybe you see the Eagles come out there now, and look, they have their issues certainly on the back end with health concerns and injuries, but I just think that this is a team that in the division is always closely contested, at least mentally you feel that way, and Philly's a talented team. Coming into the season, we said the most talented team. I think they're in their neighborhood.
They're for sure a threat. It's just how much of a threat will they be? They're 2-2. Both of their losses have been one-possession losses. And so you got to, when D-Jack gets back, it's going to open up everything for Alshon Jeffrey.
Yes.
Ertz underneath the tight ends. And so they don't even have that dynamic there. And that could be why Witz isn't throwing for a lot of yards, because they don't have that over-the-top threat. And so defensively, they're giving up 62 yards a game rushing. That's the problem when you play the Cowboys. You know the Cowboys are going to run the ball at you. Ezekiel Elliott averaged, I believe, 114 yards a game against the Eagles. And so something's going to have to give there. They're a threat. But if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say the Cowboys win the division just because the Eagles, they're just very inconsistent right now.
Cowboys not winning the division.
Or not
winning the division.
We got to play this.
Hey, Cowboys, listen to this. Cowboys going to be 10-6 at best at the end of the year.
And that's not winning the division?
I don't think that's going to win the division. Listen, I said at best. At best.
Okay.
They 3-0 right now. Nobody's really talking about the issues that the Cowboys have defensively. Look, Dak doing this thing. They 3-0. They starting out hot, but they got 0 interceptions in 3 games. They got 5 sacks in 3 games. That defense is not cutting it. And Dak not going to throw for 400 yards, 4 touchdowns every game. They're going to have to give this man some help.
The Eagles got 3 sacks on the season.
But listen to what I'm saying, though. Everybody knows that Philadelphia is known for creating turnovers. If it's one thing that they're going to do, they're going to create defensive turnovers. They're going to make some plays for their offense. Dallas has not done that yet. And you said they haven't played anybody. We got to see if that defense is going to be able to help Dak. I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to fold.
And so obviously you think Philly wins the division.
I think Philly's going to win the division. I think Dallas starts hot. They've started hot plenty of times before. You know the Dallas and Eagles rivalry is just a little bit different. So it doesn't really matter. Like if Philly's not playing great right now, when they play Dallas, they're going to be ready to play. So that matchup is going to be important.
Well, let me break up that powder blue love over there. Yeah. Talk real over here. Since I disagree with you so much, I'm going to help your point out. In terms of Dak Prescott against Philadelphia, not his best performances. His passer rating drops all the way down to 83, 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. You start to look at, even though he's won more games than not, 4 of 6, that divisional rivalry, and you start to get into those moments, it's a little more difficult for Dak Prescott. But he's a different passer this year, so I think it's important, maybe some pressure on Dak to get those numbers up to standard and do it against a team that you've had your struggles with.
Go ahead.
You've shaken me up a little bit. You said it so boldly that it's shaking me up and but I'm going to stick with my pick of the Cowboys because one, Dak has basically come out and our sources are saying he's taking a wait and see approach on his contract. And so he's going to keep the pressure on himself. And I just think I'm right now in that position where this is Dak's year. I don't think Dak is going to slow down. I think he's playing. He wants more money than Carson Wentz, and winning this division and outplaying Carson Wentz is one way to get it. My money's still on the Cowboys. I still think, and again, I think you're right. Everybody's right in terms they lost 2 one-possession games to Philadelphia. They're better than their 2-2 record, but that don't mean they're good enough to beat this Cowboys team.
I think the reality is that, like, Dak's play is so incentivized right now. Like, he's playing amazing because he wants to get paid, right?
Right.
So the best thing that Dallas can do is not pay this man until the end of the season. Because if he does get paid, I'm not saying his play is going to drop off, but he's going to have these type of games in order for them to win the Super Bowl, like people are saying, because that defense, I'm telling you, that defense is not a defense that's going to create turnovers.
When you compare the two teams and you just go position group by position group, Dallas wins every one. And in my opinion, the quarterback battle is a push.
On what, paper?
On paper.
Okay.
Better running back, better offensive line. That might be a push as well. Defensive front. Patrick Clark isn't playing well. Linebackers, Cowboys, secondary,
Ain't no push on offensive line. That's Cowboys. No push at quarterback. That's Dak.
D-line.
Linebackers,
D-line,
Cowboys.
D-line.
D-line could be
D-line is
debatable.
And that's what matters the most.
You can't be 1-4 when you talk position groups. Dallas wins all of those. And so for me, it's Dak Prescott he's focused. And I got to prove, everybody knows if Dak Prescott was a first-round pick, he'd have a deal by now.
Boom.
He wasn't. And
Boom.
so you got to go earn it. That's fine. There's no way he's going to slow down. He'll slow down a little bit because you can't keep playing like this. He didn't play great against Miami, but they won the game. The Eagles, they're a good team, but they've been to the top. And so they're starting to feel themselves a little bit, we will get up for this game. We won't play well this game. You can't do that in the NFL.
You know what, though? You say he didn't play that well against Miami, and that's true. I watched the game. But what I loved about it was Dak's explanation afterwards.
Yeah.
Dak threw an interception early in that game, rolling out to the right, threw it across his body, and I immediately said, oh, you getting greedy, man. You getting greedy. You think you playing with house money. Dak came out after the game and said, I was greedy. And I was like, he's so self-aware, so in tune. Jerry made the comment, he goes, it's gotten to the point when Dak makes a bad decision, we're all shocked. I think this kid is locked into a zone that he's just not going to come up out of. And I saw some balls early in last night's game where I was like, I can't believe Carson Wentz is missing these throws. Didn't happen in the second half. He played better. But I just like Dak better than Carson Wentz.
And can I dispel the myth? And I can't believe a former player is up here saying, oh, you know, Dak right now, he's playing to get paid. He's incentivized. That's what they say. Every single time we on that field, dog, you know all that counts. Every single play is a deposit to that dough.
But listen.
Come on now.
If it's contract year, right?
He kept Tony Romo on the bench as a rookie. You don't think he was already locked in?
If it's contract year, you're not going to have a little bit more incentive.
I ain't got no more than
He knows he's going to get it. You know in your contract year you're going to get it. It's just a matter of
He got $32 million guaranteed if he fall asleep for the rest of this year.
That sounds amazing, but until you get it, you know you playing on
You ain't got it. That's right. A little bit.
Stop what you're doing, look down at your left wrist, because our friends at Movement Watches have got exactly what you're missing. Movement has you covered with tons of quality, clean, and all-around good-looking watches and accessories. Do your wrist and wallet a favor. Go check out their minimalist designs that you can have with no risk because they offer free shipping and returns. They also have tons of sunglasses and offer interchangeable watch straps so you can never run out of options for a new look. Movement watches start at just $95, so you're guaranteed to find something you love that won't break your bank. They've sold over 2 million watches across more than 160 countries, and their collections are always expanding. See why Movement keeps growing. Check out their expanding collection. Get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to mvmt.com/speak. Go to mvmt.com/speak. Join the movement.
Eric Dickerson and Brandon Boykin are back. Let's move to Jacksonville, where the Jaguars are adjusting to life without Jalen Ramsey, who is in Nashville awaiting the birth of his second child with his girlfriend, who he needs to marry. But Ramsey's father didn't get in the way of him dropping a new podcast where he addressed his conflict with the team.
I'm not sure if I've played my final game for the Jags yet or not, but my trade request still stands. For me, respect is a huge thing. once respect is lost for both parties, I think it's time to part ways.
All right, the question here is, a lack of respect, is that a valid reason for wanting out of Jacksonville?
Not for me. I don't know what the smoking gun is. I don't know what that dialogue was. I did talk to his agent, talk to David. You know, we squashed our beef, you know what I'm saying? Puffy and Suge are cool again, you know what I mean? That's my guy, I respect him. A few things jumped out to me. One, he talks about Jalen. Jalen is smart. Jalen is calculated, even when you think he's dumbing it down, calculated, and he's principled. So I think there was a violation of whatever those principles are. I don't know what those things are, but I do know this about human beings. Incentives shape behavior. So when you know you have guaranteed dough, whether you're a Jaguar or not, all of a sudden your standards start to change, your perception even changes, and how you come at me better be respectful. And that may be a different degree than it was when you were first in the league and trying to make your way. So all this sounds like to me that Jalen drew a line that was first drawn by Tom Coughlin publicly. Tom Coughlin, his resume precedes him. His reputation precedes him.
2 Super Bowls? That reputation, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, we're talking about conduct. We ain't talking about. Yeah. I mean, hold on. So that excuses all the other stuff. Cut your facial hair.
It does with Bill Belichick.
And
he can do damn near anything he wants.
And,
sign AB.
And
go visit Aaron Hernandez in prison. He can do whatever he wants to do.
Well, I know them Super Bowls wouldn't have occurred if that mutiny would have occurred that made Tom Coughlin change his ways. Maybe he's back to his old ways. He's somewhere else trying to build that culture. That said, I'm going to pass the ball. I think that, for me, I don't know what you can say to me that makes me feel this way, but I'm not Jalen.
Well, I mean, I get it because sometimes you have discussions with the upper management that people are not privy to. I can give you an example. When I played with the Rams, I go to John Shaw to talk about, you know, my contract, and he tells me, he said, well, Eric, you know, you didn't lead the league in rushing last year. You didn't prove yourself. I said, I led the league in rushing. I had 18, 21, and 14 touchdowns. No, you didn't. I said, yes, I did. No, I said, yes, I did. So we're literally in an argument. He said, well, let me get the book and see. I want to slap him. I mean, so I'm like, see, that to me, I said, that's disrespectful. He knew it. Oh, he said, oh, you did lead the league in rushes. So it comes to a point where, you know, you as a player, you feel like you want to be where you want it, where you feel like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. The money is important now. The money is important. But winning and being at a job somewhere where you feel like I want to be and I'm appreciated, because you might not like him or you might not agree with him, but Jalen Ramsey is a damn good football player. I mean, you have to call it.
Yeah, he's a dog. I mean, you got to think like you're dealing with a different type of player these days. Like you're dealing with a millennial player. And I don't necessarily, well, yeah, I'll say, these millennial boys are soft. For real. I'm not saying Jalen Ramsey. Hey, Jalen Ramsey is a dog. But disrespect to a guy now may not have been what disrespect was to y'all, to me. So
Brandon, you're a millennial.
Am I?
Yeah.
Am I
was definitely say he is a millennial.
Hey, grab the book. Hey,
go get my.
I am.
Go get the book.
You did lead the league?
I am?
How old are you?
Hey, I'm 29. But look.
Oh my God!
Listen, in my mind,
that might be my son over there.
in my mind, I'm not a millennial.
You got an old soul.
In my mind, I got an old soul. That's right.
In your suit, you may not be a millennial.
My point being is that Jalen Ramsey, you got to trade him now. I feel like you really got to trade him, though, if we're being honest, because he is the superstar of this defensive team. The deadline is coming up. If you don't trade him, it's already going to be news every single day. But if you do trade him, I think this is going to open up. The league is going to be changed forever. I think it's going to open up players. It's going to be like the NCAA transfer portal. I'm gonna just throw my name in here and see if I can get out of here. It's going to be crazy. So if they do trade him, I think it changes the NFL for a long time.
All right. So yesterday I attacked Jalen or whatever, and I'm sure some people didn't like it. Maybe he didn't like it, but I'm going to try to be more positive this time and just try to say to Jalen and any young person out there that business is rarely personal. Right. And so you may get into a conversation with an executive in your work life. I'm talking to any young people out there listening. You'll get into a conversation with your boss or someone above your boss, a high-end executive. And generally speaking, I'm just saying it's not personal. It's just business. and you need to not be so emotional if someone tells you something you don't want to hear. Maybe again, Tom Coughlin is however old he is.
295.
Jalen Ramsey's 24 years old. 24 years old, talking to somebody in their 70s. There's a communication gap that is going to lead to some misunderstanding and just the way that they communicate. And so even if Tom Coughlin did make a mistake, I'm not so sure that you should take it so personally that I want out of there, when maybe all it really is, you just want out of the city of Jacksonville. It's not the Jaguars. It's the city of Jacksonville.
Duval, gotta go.
That perhaps you want out of, and be real about that. But I would say, look, man, I've had a lot of executives say some things that I thought were silly to me, but it never made me run. It tended to reinforce me to be like, oh, I'm going to prove you wrong. And eventually get to this place where we have here. And so, again,
millennial players.
And so, I'm all this just like, oh, someone said something bad and I got to run away and let me write them off. That's just an immature way of handling business.
It's not even about millennial players all the time. It's about, like you said, it's about respect. I won't forget when I talked to the Rams about possibly a trade, because I just wanted to be paid right. And they said, well, nobody's interested. Nobody's interested. But when they did trade me, they got 3 1s, 3 2s, and 2 players. Yeah. So, and the same thing here. You don't want him, or you're not sure if you want him, or you want to keep him, but you want 2 number 1s for him. So, I mean,
but Eric, my point to you would be about that Ram story is like, of course they talk crazy.
They talk crazy still.
They say stupid things like nobody wants Eric Dickerson. Right. You didn't believe that when they said it.
I did not
so
believe
you just
it.
let it go past. I don't even deal with that kind of crazy.
But think about this, Jason. I was 25 at the time. So you 25. You got to think as a 25-year-old. They said you do. Maybe they don't, or maybe they think I'm a bad apple, even though I knew I wasn't. But you know how teams are. They put especially back then, they put this bad Jack. He's a bad guy. He's this guy. Yeah. And the same thing with Jalen. I mean, if they don't want him or they're gonna keep him, treat him like a man. Like I said, we don't know what's said in those meetings.
I think
that's the most important thing.
Here's the thing. One, I've been 25. I've been in the league. I've been a highly sought after free agent. I got paid. And I knew that every single week I had a scouting report on Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, whoever it may be, and there's pros and cons. So I knew when I walked into my negotiation, there were going to be pros and cons, even against me. My ego wasn't so fragile that I couldn't hear bad things about me. And there were some bad things that were said about my game, and I respected it. To Whitlock's point, the difference between Jalen and you and many of us is he's still on his rookie deal. Right. He didn't sign up for this. He didn't sign up for Jacksonville. He didn't sign up for this dynamic. He was drafted, sending them forced to play here to get his opportunities. So that's different. You're not running when you were forced to be there in the first place. That said, it's hard for me to imagine the disrespect he felt because football by itself is disrespectful. 100%. Every Wednesday when I had to hit another grown man 60-something times just to say, okay, I feel better, look better, hope I play better, that was disrespectful. So how do you up the ante beyond the context of the game that is disrespectful to say something to me when this physical action is the most disrespectful thing I'm encountering? What could you possibly say that's worse than what I'm going through every day in these rigors? That's what's difficult for me to understand. It's like how war veterans translate the real world, or people from the hood translate the real world. Hey, cuz, I done used all my scared up. So when you try to come at me with some craziness, Tom Coughlin, whoever, it just goes water off a duck's back. Because I've been through way worse than this. So it's hard for me to understand what this smoking gun really looks like.
And I think the reality of it, it just comes down to, like, the dude just don't want to be there. He don't want to play there, right?
And he dressing it up.
They wanted to. They got a rookie quarterback now. He's playing pretty good. Nice, but, like, I mean, look, that's an experiment. We don't know what's going to happen with that. Jalen trying to win, Jalen trying to get paid. I completely understand that for a player. Like, I am all for that. He don't want to be there. Let the man go. And like I said, if he succeeds in this stunt, it's about to change the game.
Well, and that's why I'm trying to speak directly to young people, not just because young people are watching, not just in football and athletics, but just people that are in work situations and environments. this may work for Jalen Ramsey. He's one of the best players in the NFL, and he's 24 and young. It may work for him. But I can guarantee this approach doesn't work, young people, in your business life, in your career. I'm going to give you one more story. When I was in Kansas City, the Kansas City Star, and I was this tremendous newspaper columnist, they got upset with me. They didn't like the way I operated. They hired a boss. I'm going to say his name, Rick Vasek was the boss.
Slick Rick.
He was brought in to break me. And they used to make me go to lunch with him once a week. And he would sit across from me at Chili's in Westport Village in Kansas City and tell, no one reads your column, you're done here. Just say all these crazy things once a week for like 4 straight weeks. And then on the 5th week, I was like, I'm good, man. We ain't doing this meeting no more. But, and again, the solution could have been, get out of there, Whitlock. Yeah. I was like, are you kidding me? I got things so on lock here as a columnist. I own the Chiefs beat. I own the Kansas basketball. This is perfect for me. Screw this man. I'm going to kill him with my content and work. I'm that good. And if I had left there, I would have never probably written the columns that got me on Oprah Winfrey. I would have never reached the level of success that I had as a newspaper columnist. So again, turning and running because someone's disrespectful to you isn't always the solution. Prove them wrong. And again, you're going to face some unfairness. You're going to face some bad bosses and some executives. Doesn't mean you have to turn and run.
What if in that same moment, the New York Times was calling? In the same moment, the Atlantic is calling. Like any publication, top dogs are calling. And that's what Jalen's going through. He's like, I could go through hell because I'm invested here that I didn't choose to be in this reality. But goodness, can I go over there?
Absolutely. That I had opportunity to leave Kansas City. But I was smart enough, and my father and mother were smart enough, and the people advising me, my lawyer, Kirk May, I was like, hey, man, you can go over there, and they got some bad bosses over there, too.
Exactly.
And all this freedom you got, because I was in a situation, I pushed send on my column, and it showed up in the paper as I wrote it. I can go someplace else, and they can start micromanaging and Mickey Mousing me around, and I never write the stuff that gets me on Oprah Winfrey. I never write the stuff that eventually leads to this.
But you stayed. Listen, you stayed because you knew that your career was going to have a certain amount of longevity. Jalen Ramsey might got 7 years, 10 years.
At this level.
Max.
Yeah.
So now it becomes a little bit more important for me to get up out of here right away.
Brandon, you're making a hell of a point, and that's why I said Jalen got talent and options, and he's playing in a different business than I was. But for the other young people that aren't as talented as Jalen, aren't in the athletic world, you got to make some different choices.
If you ain't good, stay still, right?
That's the message. No. And if you are good, prove them wrong.
Okay.
You can outlet Rick Vasek. He's dust.
But
ain't nobody heard of him since.
You weren't locked in. You weren't locked in. He's locked. He's pretty much locked in, and he's frustrated because I mean, look, when I was in Indy, you know how you always talk about me in Indianapolis. I wanted to get out of there so bad. I said. And I wasn't even making like the kind of money they make now. I'll take $1.5 million pay cut to get out of here. Now, I wish I could get it back, but that's how bad I want it out. I got to get out of here.
No matter what.
We missed you when you left. Before we get to Darnell's question of the day, we want to welcome those of you watching us on Caffeine. You can actually chat with Darnell right now on the app, so join the party. All right, Darnell, take it away.
NBA. Kyrie Irving was at Nets Media Day, had a lot to say about his new teammate KD and what caused KD's torn Achilles during the finals. Check this out.
Naturally, I think you have to go inside the mind of a competitor and realize that a lot of people have responsibilities for why that ended up happening the way it happened on a national scale. We all know K was not ready to play in that environment. We all know that, whether people want to admit it or not. He was out 31 days, and we put him on a national stage on the finals to end up selling a product that came before the person Kevin. And now I'm here to protect that. I'm going to be a protector of that all throughout the year and not allowing anyone to infiltrate that circle of, hey, K, do you, get right, we'll be fine.
God, do you respect Kyrie for saying that?
I'm going to go with a no, just because, man, he just started a fire. And he just gave this story new life. And and look, I'm sure he must have done it with Kevin Durant's okay, which makes me think like, man, Brooklyn's going to be interesting. It's going to be a reality show. Brooklyn 90210, I guess is what this is. So, I mean.
And for clarity, what did he start in terms of this
the conversation now is going to be, once again, did the Golden State Warriors do KD wrong? Yeah. He's breathe new life. KD's going to be asked the question a bunch. They're going to go over to Draymond and Steph Curry and Steve Kerr, and they're going to get asked questions. Somebody in Golden State's probably going to fire back, maybe. Draymond would be my guess. And this story, he's given this story new, more explosive life.
Yeah, see, I don't think that this is another log in that fire. I think this lands with me, someone who says, in case of emergency, break glass, and I will be the extinguisher for a lot of circumstances that I've seen occur with KD and probably others, himself included, but now it's going to be different here, and I tell you why. This is where positive peer pressure comes into play. We always talk about peer pressure in the negative way. The friends who want you to hang out and do nothing. How about the friends who say, let's go to the library and then let's go to shoot around? That's the positive peer pressure. In Golden State, they weren't so much invested in each other as they were invested into the entity. Think about it. KD in Golden State is what I'm talking about. KD made mention of this in his article this summer, saying he never fit in properly. One, because of just dynamics. He wasn't drafted there. It was always the Golden State Warriors and KD. Two, same thing happened with LeBron and Dwayne Wade, except they're best friends. And the same thing with KD and Kyrie. They're best friends. But in Golden State, KD didn't have that best friend. So he deserved the biggest bedroom because he was the best player. But it was Steph's house. So we're putting you somewhere you shouldn't be. You're displaced, and you're never quite qualified. So it's amazing when they're down 3-1, not invested in each other fully, you're down 3-1, and you glue your hopes to the Achilles that is glued to KD. He put that type of pressure on him. And what Kyrie is saying is, if you were with your boy, someone who was truly your peer in understanding what that pressure is and had your best interests at heart, I would have said, let's handle this differently.
And so Steph Curry would say, and I want to be crystal clear here, I like Kevin Durant, and I really like Steph Curry. I like them both. But Steph Curry's response would be like, Kyrie, that's real easy for you to say while you over there messing up everything in Boston.
Real talk.
We were playing for a championship. And I guarantee you in Steph Curry's mind, he's like, I did look out for KD. Now, look, maybe KD's got a different story, and that's what he's sharing with Kyrie, and that's why they're saying that. But Steph is saying, look, man, we did try to connect with KD in a way that made him feel whole and welcome and a big part of this. And maybe it's just KD. You got to remember, KD is now on his third team.
Yeah.
Steph's on one team the whole time. So maybe the common denominator in this function are not the full connection is with KD. And I like KD. I'm not trying to dog him. I hope when he comes back, he's a beast. But let's just remember, he left Russell Westbrook, I thought, without an explanation. So I just don't know if KD is he's difficult. I don't know if he's the ideal relationship partner. He could be a lot like Jason Whitlock. Hard to deal with.
Look, respect to what you're saying, because I'm talking from the optics of Kyrie Irving, and this is not a character assassination of Steph, but this could be an assassination of circumstances. And what Kyrie is saying is a peer, a true friend, will be invested in you so much that I help crystallize and relieve you from that pressure to say what's best for you first before what's best for this team that you're not truly invested in and they're not truly invested in you. So look, you and I are doing our thing, but if there was something that made me have to extend myself that personally compromised me but collectively hurt us, that's when we have to now rely on each other as friends. Forget the next Emmy, forget the next opportunity or accolade. I care about you first. And Kyrie is saying, from my vantage point, didn't look like they cared about you first.
Marcellus, I want to break some news to you.
You want the Emmy first, huh?
I want the ratings first. I'll do anything for the ratings.
That's why Colin left.
Let's move to New Orleans, where the Saints host the Cowboys in a huge NFC matchup Sunday night. New Orleans will once again be without Drew Brees, but Teddy Bridgewater played well enough to get the team a win on the road in Seattle last week. He'll be up against a tough Dallas defense this week, while the Saints D will have to contend with Dak, Zeke, and the rest of the Dallas's explosive offense. All right, the question here is, think Sean Payton's Saints can pull off the upset versus the Cowboys?
No, I favor the Cowboys. A lot of dollar signs incentivized on that football field, even on the sidelines, and Jason Garrett. They're having a historical run in terms of offensive production in their first 3 games. We know the defense that they played have been lowly, but still, this is the Dallas Cowboys putting up historical numbers offensively in production. And the fact is, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, your mindset has to be, we have to win the games we're supposed to win. A Drew Brees-less New Orleans Saints team is a team that the Dallas Cowboys have to beat. So this game has heightened in importance just because Teddy Bridgewater is not Drew Brees. This defense needs to make a statement against the backup, no matter how good that backup is.
I believe the Saints are going to win the game. I believe they're going to pull off the upset, and I look at it. The Saints should be an undefeated team, or they could be an undefeated team if that call against the Rams, if it doesn't happen. When you go with a backup quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater, he started 19 games in the league, he's 13-6, not bad.
Yeah.
You go to Seattle, and anybody knows I played it's loud.
Yeah.
And now you get to come home, and the loudest stadium, in my opinion, is a Superdome in New Orleans. The Cowboys are going to have to deal with that, and so the Saints could be an undefeated team. Defensively, they're going to put pressure on Dak. They're not statistically a great defense, but they do put pressure on the quarterback. They do a good job, and you're playing there. The Cowboys aren't going to go 6-0. They got to lose to somebody, and I think this is going to be one of the games.
I take Sean Payton over Jason Garrett. I mean, I think that's the X factor right there. When you talk about historic numbers for the Cowboys, you know, you're right. Who they played though? They played the Giants, the Redskins, and are they called the Dolphins anymore? Are they called the Dogs? I mean, they call the Dolphins anymore? I mean, and you talk about Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater's a backup, but I think he's probably the best backup in the NFL. I mean, they don't pay him $7 million just to sit there. I mean, they do, but they don't. So they expect this out of him. The Cowboys haven't won in New Orleans since 2009. And you're right, it is hard to beat the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. That place is loud. They're very fast on that turf, even though Dallas plays on turf. Something about playing in that dome when you play the Saints at home, man, they just seem to have it going that who that they're going to beat them Saints. So I'm taking the Saints.
I'm not going to go as far as taking the Saints, but I see the path for them to do it. Again, they just went to Seattle, faced Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, and got it done. So Jason Garrett, Dak Prescott, is that a better combination than Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson? I think most people would say no. And they get them at home. And so here's where I think the X factor in all of this is going to be. Last week when New Orleans ran Teddy Bridgewater out there, they won that game without really featuring Michael Thomas. And Michael Thomas, like Green Bay last week or yesterday, Devontae Adams was very upset about how he's been used early in the season, and then they came out and featured and got him the ball. Teddy Bridgewater is going to get the ball to Michael Thomas. They paying him all this money. Michael Thomas is a hog. He wants that ball. I think the Saints' offense is going to look far better than it did last week. They're going to figure out a way to feature Michael Thomas, and I think that Teddy Bridgewater is going to play better. And I just think the Saints have an opportunistic defense that'll make a play or two. I'm not predicting Dallas is going to fall off a cliff, but Sean Payton, man, he's a magician. He's the second best coach, I think, in a lot of people's mind, other than Belichick.
And it's interesting. Let's follow that logic. So Aaron Rodgers feeds Devontae Adams before the injury, and it compromised the defense. Something happened with the defense differently. It could be because they're a team that goes 3 and out a lot. The passing game doesn't give you a lot of time to rest as a defense compared to the running game, et cetera. So if that happens now, Bridgewater feeds Michael Thomas, what's it going to do to this defense that already is ranked 28th? Huh?
They're not good statistically.
Don't look at them stats.
Oh, okay, here we go. Let's look at just the players, huh? They add up to the stats that I'm gonna look at, damn it. And these 28, and the Cowboys are great. You know that sucker fish that your grandma used to buy, the fish tank at the bottom, just eat all the rocks and all the dirt, sucker fish? When it's at the bottom, yeah, a little catfish face. 32nd, 31st, 26th rank, and now you got to play the 28th rank. Cowboys have shown that we don't take them lightly. We exploit bottom defenses. Well, we're gonna do it again.
Here's how I'm going to defend the Saints defense, and I don't have all the numbers, but again, when you lose Drew Brees, your defense is out on the field a bit more. Mm-hmm. Drew Brees is not a long ball thrower. He's a guy that controls the game with the intermediate passing game, keeps your defense off the field. I just think we're going to see more of that from New Orleans with Michael Thomas. I just think Dallas's offense won't be as on – the Saints' defense won't be as on the field as much as I think they have been in previous games without Drew Brees.
Well, the Saints have played the Texans, the Rams, and the Seahawks. I mean, they can put up some points.
Those are playoff teams.
They're a playoff team. One thing about the Cowboys is that let me ask you this question. When you go get an MRI, what you get an MRI for? There's something wrong.
Something really
something wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, Amari Cooper he got an MRI, so something ain't right there. And also, without Michael Gallup to stretch that field, that's going to be a problem. I mean, and I know if I'm the Saints, I'll say it again, 21 ain't going to beat us. You know, we're going to put the pressure on Dak.
Y'all asking a lot of him. I'm looking at these defensive rankings with Drew Brees. And look, Drew Brees, let's talk about the last 5 years because this year doesn't count. But 31st, 31st, 27, 17, 14. All y'all saying is Teddy Bridgewater got to play like Drew Brees.
You play at home with that crowd noise, it helps the defense out.
It turns them into Drew Brees.
Before we go, I'd like to address the curious case of the Melvin Gordon holdout. We can start by asking if Melvin Gordon held out but no one paid attention, did his negotiation tactic make a sound? Gordon ended his 64-day holdout yesterday, reporting to the Los Angeles Chargers facility, owing the team $1.2 million in fines and minus nearly $1 million of the $5.6 million in base salary he's scheduled to make this season. Wow. Gordon's 64-day vacation cost him $2 million. Dang. Good Lord, what we could have done with 1% of that cash in a single weekend in Costa Rica. A total redefinition of bang for your buck. Man. But I'm not here to ridicule Gordon and his 36-year-old agent, Demarius Bilbo. A fool and his agent will soon part. I'm here to express sympathy for NFL running backs and the agents who represent them. They remind me of old-school print journalists, men and women who valued objectivity, independent thought, and pursuing the truth wherever it led. Decades ago, these type journalists were the biggest, most influential stars in the media. There was a columnist in Chicago throughout the 1950s and until his death in 1997 who was the Jim Brown and Walter Payton of newspapers. His name was Mike Royko. Politicians all the way to the White House feared him. The working class revered him. He spoke for the little guy. He had little tolerance for and patience with celebrity elites. He played beer league softball and got drunk at the Billy Goat Tavern. 2 generations of young journalists launched careers determined to be like Mike Royko. And then the internet changed the media business model. Objectivity and independence lost value. Partisanship, agenda, race baiting, and the worship of celebrities became the new media gold standard. Everybody started running the clickbait offense. Now there's no money in being like Mike Royko. Same as there's no money in being the next Jim Brown. This is not good for football. Running back is still the most exciting position in all of sports. Watching one man take on 11 defenders is the #1 reason to buy a ticket or spend 10 hours of your Sunday on a couch clicking between games. Do quarterbacks have more influence over the outcome of a game? No question. But Tom Brady's passes are not nearly as exciting as Alvin Kamara's Barry Sanders impersonation. It's not close. Running backs entertain. Football sells violent collisions and competition. Running backs are the biggest stars of that show. Like the media industry, the NFL has undergone dramatic rule changes that disrupted football's business model. The league has emphasized the passing game. The rookie wage scale and the last collective bargaining agreement further damaged the earning power of running backs whose prime years take place while their salaries are restricted. The NFL was built on the star power of running backs. The NFL was a floundering league on the brink of collapse until Chicago Bears owner George Halas signed Red Grange to a $100,000 a year contract in 1925. Hallis took the Galloping Ghost on a 19-game, 67-day barnstorming tour that culminated with 70,000 fans coming to the Polo Grounds to see Grange face the New York Giants. Back then, NFL games were lucky to draw 10,000 spectators. The running back reigned supreme all the way through the 1970s. O.J. Simpson and Walter Payton were the NFL's highest-paid players in 1978, earning $750,000 and $430,000 respectively. Fran Tarkenton was the highest-paid quarterback at $360,000. It's ridiculous, unfair, and bad for business that the new NFL compensation model values running backs below every other position except safeties, tight ends, and kickers. This needs to change, starting with the overthrow of the rookie wage scale. Ezekiel Elliott, Le'Veon Bell, Melvin Gordon, Alvin Kamara touch the football more frequently than wide receivers and absorb far more punishment than quarterbacks and receivers. But they're paid like kickers and punters. It's bad business. It's the equivalent of valuing and celebrating a race-baiting, clickbait activist the same way we used to value journalists. More Speak for Yourself after this. Whitlock and Wiley, TJ Houshmandzadeh is back with us. Let's move to Baltimore, where Lamar Jackson and the Ravens host Baker Mayfield and the Browns in a huge AFC North matchup. Baker is under a lot of pressure with the Browns failing to deliver on the offseason hype so far, and it won't help that he's going up against a guy drafted 31 spots after him who has been making some people question whether their draft order was right. All right, with Lamar outplaying Baker across the board so far,
everywhere,
beating him in every major category, running and passing the ball, not to mention in the win-loss column. All right, the question here is, should Baker feel added pressure going against Lamar Jackson?
Yes, but no. It's not a conversation. It's not something that I'm feeling. We saw them play Week 17 last year. The Ravens beat them by 2. It's a weird thing because this is some low-hanging fruit for people like us to say, let's redraft the class, and every time Baker sees Lamar, oh, my God, he has to feel this immense pressure. And I don't think he does. He has his own struggles. You know, in my favorite sport, track and field, when you're struggling, when you're behind, don't look in other lanes. Like, just work on your form and just try to do your best. Baker needs to work on his own situation before he even worries about Lamar. And for him, thankfully, a lot of people aren't comparing him to Baker Mayfield. They're just wondering why Baker is not living up to last year's standards. So I think this game is going to be the same thing as last year. I think it may be even worse in terms of outcome. I can see that the Ravens can run this one up on Baker and the Browns.
He's going to feel the pressure because of what you just said. Baker and the Cleveland Browns haven't played well at all this year.
No.
And now you're going against the other quarterback that was supposed to be a project. He was supposed to be able to just run the ball and not throw the ball. And now when you look at him statistically, he's better than you in every category throwing the ball. Lamar Jackson is second in the league in yards per game behind Patrick Mahomes. And so Baker Mayfield is going to feel pressure, number one. I want to play better than him because I was picked first, and I was the guy ready to play. He's the last pick in the first round, and he wasn't ready to play, and I wish I could play how he's playing now. So he's going to feel pressure to kind of outplay him.
Yeah, I think he's going to feel a lot of pressure that he's put on himself. He loves smoke. Yeah. If he doesn't play well, there's going to be a lot of smoke coming his way. There's going to be a lot of people trashing Baker Mayfield if Lamar Jackson goes out here and really outplays him and Baltimore runs roughshod over him. Baker Mayfield, whether intentionally or unintentionally, took a pot shot at Daniel Jones. That's blown up in his face. Now, if he falls too far behind this kid in the AFC North race, plays poorly, everybody's waiting to pounce. He's the guy that talked crap, and now people are going to start talking crap on him. And just the reality of it is, if I thought he had the discipline to ignore the noise that will come his way if this goes poorly this Sunday, he would feel no pressure. He doesn't have the discipline to ignore the noise, and if the noise could turn with a little racial twist if Lamar outplays him too bad, and that's a level of noise that I just don't think Baker Mayfield has any. He needs to avoid that completely.
All great points, but they don't map onto reality. Think about this. The draft went like this. Baker Mayfield went number 1. I thought it was going to be Sam Darnold. Josh Rosen, that was like the tier 1 conversation, right? And it was not in the order we anticipated. But then if you look at Josh Rosen, oh my God, how's that working out? Sam Darnold, mixed bag of nuts, right? So then let's drop down Josh Allen. I like Josh Allen, but people are like, not convinced just yet, right? And then you get to Lamar Jackson, who has convinced us, but no one's betting on him. Everyone is doing this with apprehension. Yeah, I placed my bet on Lamar Jackson, and that's the point. Baker Mayfield still has a clear path to saying, I am the number one, and I am a validate this, because no one else convincingly is the public betting on and saying that that's the guy.
Baker Mayfield likes Twitter, and if this goes poorly, he's going to get eaten alive over social media.
Okay.
And he's not going to ignore it.
As he should, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Even if he does ignore it, he's going to feel that. Like, I'm the number one pick. When I finally get a chance to play last year, I kill it. I come back this year, and now the expectations of our team are here. And now we're in the basement. Yeah. We're not even coming close to matching expectations. No. We can't, number one, I can't complete a pass to my receivers. We're not running the ball. When I do get time, I'm inaccurate. And now I'm playing against a guy who was inaccurate in college. He was a project, like I said, and he's doing everything that I wish I could do. He's going to feel that.
All right, Darnell, anything to add here?
Yes, sir. So Browns versus Ravens is actually one of the Super 6 NFL Sunday matchups this week. So let's get our fans some money. Whitlock and Marcellus, give us your pick and final score.
I'm going to go Ravens 24-20.
I was right last night. I got that one right. I told you Eagles.
You
by
said
7.
2013.
I said by 7.
Oh.
And then I'm going to say 30-18 by 12.
30-18,
Yeah,
wow.
the Ravens win again. And look, they beat them last year. No one tripped on Baker Mayfield then. No one's going to trip this time.
All right, guys, so there were two winners of the Thursday night football game last night that split the $25,000 jackpot.
Yeah.
So before the game kicks off Sunday, download the Fox Sports Super 6 app and play for free for a chance to win $250,000 of Terry Bradshaw's money.
Uncle Jimmy's here.
Howdy, partner.
Talk about our approval rating for Matt LaFleur. You got big dummy of the day?
Right there.
Big dummy of the day who said in a Whitlock this morning that I used to be dumb and arrogant. That changed how?
Nothing
I
changed.
used to be dumb and arrogant.
I didn't get the email. I'm sorry. What about you, Marcellus?
Ain't nothing changed.
Let's talk about Matt LaFleur,
1 year
who has
plus.
taken some heat over his play calling after the Packers got shut out on a couple of goal line situations in the fourth quarter last night. Marcellus, do you think the Aaron Rodgers-LaFleur marriage will last?
It's going to go like most marriages. Half of them end in divorce. And the other half struggling to be happy. Damn it. You ain't got the courage to leave. I know how you feel. No, this is not going to end well. We saw this in the summertime, man. They can't even agree on the audible call. So, no, this is not going to end well. But they're off to a fast start.
I'm not so sure. Marriages that start out rough, they get into some counseling.
Yeah.
They can work through
Get
this.
stuck
Uncle
with
Jimmy,
the babies. Get stuck with the kids.
Yeah. Uncle Jimmy.
There's no way in hell this marriage is going to last. This marriage is prearranged and predestinated for failure to the beginning. The Packers front office, they sat up here and looked over into the Sean McVay family, and they grabbed the first prettiest little face they could find out of there. Tried to pair him up with another divorced, aging, and as of last night, angry prince by the name of Aaron Rodgers. So you know that little plan was just like your plan of being a horse jockey. It was destined to fail from the beginning. Look here, man, once again, I'm going to have to save you again because you messed up that whole essay this morning. Your whole essay was out of sync. Okay? This ain't no Elton John singing Socket Man.
Rocket Man.
Look here, this ain't Ike trying to make anime eat the cake.
Cake at him, man.
Look, man, this is a country classic. It's a country classic written by Aaron Rodgers, performed by me, Dark Brooks. Now, y'all can sing this with me if you want to.
We don't
Dark
know it.
Brooks.
We ain't singing this.
Listen here. It goes like this. Blame it all on my coach, because it was first and goal. And he told me, go throw the ball some more. Now, this was Thursday night. I knew the play wasn't right, and I wanted to throw that coach through the door. Now, I know that was mean, and it would have caused a big scene. But damn it, when he ran the ball one time, this coach ain't right. I'm mad enough to fight, cause all we wanted to do was just score. Now, let me tell y'all something. Now, I got friends in the Hall of Fame. And, say what? And in these Green Bay streets, they put some respect on my name. And yo, coach, you'll do the same. If you want to win another game. And don't have me throwing passes in tight places. And those Green Bay fans got those look on their faces like this crap gets old. And like y'all think Green Bay don't get cold. Hey!
Dark Brooks.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dark Brooks.
Nice job.
That boy good.
That boy good.
That boy good.
That boy good.
I like him. He got
Very
talent.
good.
That boy got talent. He got talent.
Dark Brooks, that's a good one. That's an original. All right. I got my approval rating for Matt LaFleur, 4 job performance, 3 all-time greatness, 20 character, 17 authenticity, 44 scout team.
I got him at scout team as well. Look, job performance, they are 3-1 despite the issues that we all see around. Authenticity, you know he mad at Aaron Rodgers. It has to be low. They are not on the same page, so he lying.
All right, the internet agrees with us. 63% at scout team on the internet.
All good.
All right, Uncle Jimmy, that's some of your best work.